Merry meet and welcome to, there we go, Soulful Sunday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga, and we are streaming live right here on YouTube. Moderating for us today here on YouTube are the lovely Heather and the lovely Honey Paw. Thank you so much, moderators, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. I hope you're having a great day. Just as a reminder, this is our the end of our week, so we're off tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday. We'll be back on Wednesday for more streams. Our website is located at arielscorner.com. Our podcast hub is located at arielspodcasts.com. And our shop is located at arielscornershop.com. So check all those out. If you're on our main website, arielscorner.com, you'll see links to our social media in the headers and footers of each page. And you can join us on our Discord server and or our private Facebook group if you'd like to be more involved with our community. We also have a chat thread running right here on this stream. So chat amongst yourselves. If you happen to have a question for me, put it right in that chat thread and we'll get to it before the end of the stream. I just need to be done by 11, but we don't have a premiere today because I work on Sundays kind of early. Let's see, what else was I going to tell you? There was something. Oh yeah, if you'd like to donate, you can do that by going to paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga, paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga. On YouTube, you can donate by using a super sticker or super chat or a super thanks. Or if you'd like to use a credit card or debit card or there's all kinds of other ways, you can use the donate link on the footer of every page of our website, arielscorner.com, arielscorner.com. We do appreciate your support, and we appreciate you for being here today. All right, let's get going. If you're in a place where it is safe and appropriate, please close your eyes and begin to take some nice, long, slow, deep, relaxing breaths. In through your nose and out through your mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering the body and mind. With each exhale, let go of all the tension in your body, along with anything in your mind that you do not want. Inhaling peace, exhaling as you let go. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth, lighting us and the grove with a sacred golden light. This is the light of perfect love and perfect trust. It easily and efficiently burns away everything unlike itself, leaving us safe and serene. Into our sacred space, we invoke the presence of our Creator. To many of us, our Creator reveals themselves to be a mother and father, a goddess and God. We call upon our angels, our guides, and our teachers, and we ask that we be guided as we walk upon the way, becoming happier, more peaceful, wiser, more powerful, and more loving people. Blessed be. I'm going to take this opportunity today to answer some of the questions that have come through that we haven't had a chance to answer, because sometimes they come through at the end of the stream. So I'm going to go through some of those. And if you have any questions, put them right in and I'll do my best to answer them today. Okay, there's a question here. What sort of spell casting would be effective in clearing a debt? That's a very good question. Any kind of banishing spell can be a little tricky, because what happens with banishing frequently, and you see this in group rituals, and I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again. In group rituals, sometimes we'll have there will be the whole operation will be about letting go of something or banishing something or getting rid of something, eliminating something. And so they'll have maybe some sort of charm. Maybe it'll be, I don't know, a gem or some kind of trinket of some sort that you're supposed to put your whatever it is that you're trying to get rid of into, and then you're going to throw it. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a gem, but maybe it would be a piece of paper or something flammable that you're going to be putting whatever it is that you don't like or you don't want into that, and then you throw it into the fire to eliminate it. And you see people getting really into it. They just are like taking big deep breaths and just really concentrating and focusing. And when they throw it into the fire, it is super dramatic. And I understand, because they really want to get rid of this thing. But I've noticed that when we do that, it's more like casting a spell for that thing. Because what happens is when we get emotional about something that we're visualizing it, our deep minds have a hard time differentiating between the emotion of desire from the emotion of the desire to want to get rid of something. All it registers is desire. So it can't tell that you desire to get rid of this thing. All it sees is that you're visualizing this thing, thinking about this thing, and then desiring it. So I found the best attitude for banishing is nonchalance. Is when I throw it away, I have the same attitude of throwing away some old something from the refrigerator that's gone bad. I don't get really into it. I just throw it down the garbage disposal. Or maybe some old papers, I shred them. Some old papers that I don't need anymore, maybe tax returns from 5 years ago. I don't need those anymore, so I'm going to shred them. I don't get all upset about it. I just shred it and just get rid of it. When I take the trash out into the dumpster, I don't get upset about the trash. I just throw it away. I don't go through the trash to see, well, am I sure I really want to get rid of this? Or going through the trash and saying, I really am glad I'm getting rid of this. I just toss it. And when we do a banishing spell, it's recommended that we adopt a similar kind of attitude. The deep mind understands getting rid of trash. It understands letting go of something and feeling lighter. It understands that, but it doesn't understand this desire and all of this emotion that we bring up when we're banishing something. So be aware of that, for one thing. And another thing is, when we're banishing, I find that it's a good idea not to repeat a banishing spell like we do sometimes when we're building a thought form. We're building a thought form and we might want to repeat it every day for a week or every day until we get a sense that it's clicked. With the banishing spell, I personally don't do that because I'm not trying to build up a thought form of banishing. I'm actually trying to eliminate a thought form of something that's already there. So if it was debt, I might do, I have a debt erasing spell on YouTube, and you can see where I have a bunch of, if there's a total amount of debt, I put that in there, and then I have other figures underneath it that are gradually less, gradually less, gradually less. And I just go through and I erase it with a regular eraser. I write it in pencil and I just erase it. And I go through the whole thing. And once it's done, I just rip up the paper and throw it away. And I just really feel like it's just gone. I try to have a sense of peace and emptiness about it. And like I said before, nonchalance, and not being very upset about the debt, not being very witchy about getting rid of something. Because like I said, for me, in my experience, that tends to create it more than banish it. My computer just went to sleep. Hold on a second. There we go. So hopefully that helps you with that. Let's see. I have some more here. Okay, did the writers of the Psalms consciously put the spells into the context? That's a great question. I have no idea. And I don't think anybody knows. The idea from the magical tradition of Psalm magic that I follow, there's a tradition that the Psalms predate the Bible and that they were from more ancient cultures, and nobody knows for sure which ancient cultures they were. That's the tradition. We don't even know if that's true. Nobody knows for sure. And even if it is true, I don't know that the people necessarily wrote the Psalms to be spells. All I know is that they work as spells. We've discovered through the centuries, and Psalms have been used for magic for a long, long time, for a very, very long time. So at some point or another, people started using them for magic. And so the magical tradition of Psalms did grow. But just a reminder, and this wasn't part of your question, but this one comes up a lot. Why do you use Christian texts for magic? Well, for one thing, if you're talking about the Psalms, they are not Christian texts. Christians use them. Christians do use them. There's a whole Christian tradition of using the Psalms as prayers. And it's interesting because a lot of those Christian traditions that use the Psalms as prayers don't really have a clear understanding of why the cursing Psalms are in there. And so they either avoid them or they don't understand them or they make excuses for them. But that's a whole different story. The Psalms predate Christianity by thousands of years. So they are not a Christian text, and especially not the way most witches and magicians use them. Now, there may be some who do that identify as Christian, but most of us don't. So just also that there is nothing specifically Christian about the Psalms because they predate Christianity. Now, you'll hear a lot of Christians say, oh, well, this Psalm is obviously a prediction of the coming of Christ and all of that. Whatever. I mean, that's all debatable. But the Psalms themselves, even if they were written by the Hebrew people at the time of so-called David and all of that, they still predate Christianity. But there is much evidence to suggest that some, if not all, the Psalms predate even those people. Okay. What do you think of taking spiritual baths? Do they make sense? Yes. Yes, they do. Now, there is a book called Spiritual Purification. And I'll show you what it is. I'll tell you who it's by. I'm coming up with it in a second. But there's a whole magical tradition around taking magical baths. So in A Witch's Primer, we talk about using a magical bath just as a spiritual purification technique, with no necessarily. Sorry, I can't multitask. I've never been able to. But anyway, so in do I have that book? Shoot. I know it's out of print, but I know you can get it. I just don't know where it is anymore. I don't know where that book is. It's not even on Amazon. Well, I'll find it and I'll I don't know, put it on. If I can't find it, I'll just edit this out when I edit this into an upload. But if I do find that book, I'll include the link in the upload. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Spiritual purification, as we teach it in A Witch's Primer, is something that we recommend that you do on a daily basis. And one way you can do that is through taking a spiritual bath. The way that I teach it is to take a handful of finely ground sea salt. Uh-oh, I forgot. Hold on a second. Let me fix this. I forgot to loop this. There we go. So you take a hand of finely ground sea salt and you put it in the bath. You can also take that sea salt and scrub your body with it and exfoliate your skin with it, but that's optional. Put it in your bath. Also, we recommend, if you want to, what's very traditional is making a tea out of an herb called hyssop, Hyssop. This is not mandatory, but it is traditional. And you can also add that to your bath. If you don't want that tea, you can also use an essential oil of hyssop. And you can just put a drop or two of that in your bath, or you could, if you don't want hyssop, you could substitute that with lavender or another type of purification herb if you'd like. But just the sea salt in the bath is what we recommend. And you just sit in there. You just sit in that bath for 10 to 20 minutes, and you imagine the bath being filled with light and filled with purification properties to make sure that your aura is nice and cleansed. Now, there are magical traditions that also put other kinds of herbs and essential oils in formulas that you can put in a bath, and you can soak in that energy, so to speak, in order to draw things to yourself. The symbolism is that you're putting those things into your aura. So a money draw bath or a love bath or that sort of thing. And you can do that as well. You don't actually need special formulas. You can use them, and many people find that they're helpful. You can do it all just with a handful of salt, and just in your mind's eye, notice that the bath is imbued with the powers of ... whatever it is that you want. And that's the easiest way to do it. It's just to put a little bit of salt in your bath and imbue the bath water with whatever it is that you're wanting to attract for yourself, if it's not a bath that's just only specifically for daily purification or ritual purification. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. I don't do candle magic anymore since I'm spending more than seeing the results. Witchcraft is expensive, so I'm doing psalm magic. But as a recent atheist, I struggle a bit and how to overcome that. Okay, for one thing, witchcraft does not need to be expensive. You're listening to people that are product oriented. Either because they believe that products are necessary, or because they get some sort of a kickback by putting that on their videos or whatever. So you don't need to spend money to do witchcraft. Now, candles don't need to be expensive. You don't need very expensive candles. You can get very inexpensive ones if you like candles. I've even used, and I still do, use LED candles, and those I reuse because there's no reason to throw them away when they're done. I just purify them and then re-anoint them when I'm ready to start again. And I usually just use a white LED candle when I'm doing that. But if I'm using candle magic, I don't usually use tons and tons of candles. I usually just use one that represents my purpose, and it's usually a small one. I anoint it with oil, and I explain how to do that in the color magic lesson of a witch's primer. And that's all I do, is just that single candle. And then I can either relight it every day if it's a multiple day spell, and then after the final day, I let it burn down and out all by itself. Or if it's just a one-day spell, I just let it burn down and out all by itself. And that's how I do the candle magic. And it is not expensive. You don't need expensive incense. You do not need expensive oil. In fact, you can, I think I talk about this in the AWP lesson, but if not, here it is. You can just take some vegetable oil. It can be olive oil, that's very common, or avocado oil, almond oil, some kind of unscented vegetable-based oil. And you put that in a small container, and then you add a small pinch of sea salt, or any kind of salt, actually, as long as it's pure salt. Obviously, you don't want seasoned salt or garlic salt or something like that. It's just salt, not black salt, because black salt isn't pure salt. That's salt usually with ashes added to it. Just a pinch of salt into that container. And usually that salt won't melt right away. Over time it may, but it's okay if it just stays in the bottom. And you just use that over and over and over again. That'll last you for months. And you just take that oil, that all-purpose oil, and when you anoint your candle with it, you state your purpose or your intention. So candle magic does not need to be expensive if you like it. But to answer your actual question about the Psalms, what do you do since you are a recent atheist and you struggle a bit to overcome that? If you notice how I work with Psalms, I don't work with them religiously. Every every character, everything in the psalm is a part of myself. They are, think of them as psychological principles that are being personal. The people in the Psalms and the well, it's not only the people, the objects, the situations, all the stuff in each Psalm represents something in yourself. So you take it very personally. This represents this represents that. And it can change based upon the Psalm that based upon the spell that you're casting. So you don't need to think of them religiously. In fact, I recommend that you don't. You think of them magically. And you think of them. You think of those things as symbols representing something real within you, not people outside of yourself. And that goes for the Lord. The Lord isn't an external thing. The Lord is whatever the power is that's keeping your heart beating. Okay. Where does the phrase blessed be come from? Is this old or new? Well, blessed be is an old phrase that's been used by many different cultures. Usually it's blessed be this, blessed be that, blessed be the other. Now, I think that Gerald Gardner heard the New Forest Coven that he was working with use the phrase blessed be, and he incorporated it. That's how I believe it came to be popularized in witchcraft. But it was obviously being used before Gerald Gardner because he picked it up. I like blessed be as a phrase. I use it a lot. I use it as a meditation. I use it as a greeting. I've always loved it. To me, it's like a Zen phrase. Blessed be. Blessed be. It's like I am that I am. Blessed be whatever. Blessed be that which is. And so I love it. Whether it's an ancient phrase that's been used for centuries by witches, who knows? Who cares, really? I just like it. But you don't have to use it. And that's the case with all of the craft. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything, and you can do whatever you desire. Okay. Okay, here's one. I make art that deals with themes that relate to my life. Should I be concerned that this could interfere with gestation of thought forms I've previously cast for on these topics? Will I think this way and do these things all my life, and then what? That depends on how well you can contextualize it. Now, I know a lot of artists and a lot of recording artists and things. I come across a lot of artists in my work. And I know a lot of recording artists hate their old recordings. I've so grown out of that. My voice doesn't sound like that anymore. I don't think like that anymore. Those aren't I'm not going through those things anymore. And some of them have a really healthy perspective and just say, look at how far I've come. That's great. That was definitely how I was, but I'm not like that anymore. And others feel like, I wish I could just scrub them away and make everybody break those records and delete those files. And the ones that feel that way about it, I think they are digging themselves into the past and are having a harder time letting go of the past. But if you look at your art as just being a chronicle, just as like a diary entry, if you go look at old diary entries, you don't really want to rip those pages out and say, oh no, I'm not like that anymore. Let me rip that up. No, it's just a record of what you were going through at the time. And look at how far you've come. So it just depends on how you contextualize it. Okay, I've been practicing praise of the infinite, and although I know it works, I don't feel like my heart is fully able to be convinced when things feel rough. Is that still fine and progress? Absolutely. It's okay. The infinite meets you where you are. It's the willingness to go beyond your current situation that's the most necessary. And that includes practical magic, that includes esoteric kind of transcendental magic. It includes all of it. Just the willingness to want to move beyond where you are and to receive the wisdom of the infinite is all that it takes. And remember, the infinite's not outside of you. The infinite is within you. And that infinite wisdom is always with us. But if we are tense and if we have our minds fixated on things other than listening to that wisdom, it's as if that wisdom's not there. But when we relax and we are receptive to it, that wisdom can show us what we need to know. And that's the whole idea of having a spirit guide, is that there's always that guide there, but the guide can't hit you over the head. It won't ever do that. The guide is sitting there waiting for you to listen. But it's okay if it's not perfect. Don't worry about it. Okay. Does our blessing practice need to identify specific individuals? I think this is when I was talking about the power of blessing. It does not need to, but there's a power in having an object to your affection. And it's when we are blessing a particular person or a particular situation, a particular event, it's different than casting a spell on it, in that we don't have an intended outcome for it. We're just giving our blessings. We're just giving our blessings. And to give our blessing is just an act of love. I love you, even though we're not in a good place right now, maybe, but I still love you. I do want the best for you, even if it's from afar, and I'm blessing you. That's different than having a spell cast on them where you say, what I will for you is this. What I will for you is that. It's a different attitude. It's a different operation. With a blessing, it's very open-ended. All you're doing is, and it's mostly for ourselves, is feeling at one with the infinite and having that sense of peace about whatever it is that we're blessing and wanting only the best for them in whatever way that happens to show up. And that, again, that can be either a person or a situation. But it's different. You can bless all you want because you're not imposing your will upon a situation. That's different. If you're casting a spell on people, you're imposing your will on them. And I don't do a lot of that. I don't do a lot of magic on or for other people, even if they ask me for it, because I don't want to get involved with that. I don't want my will being hoisted on any other person because I'll never understand where they're coming from, even if they try to tell me. I'd rather just bless them and maybe show them how they can do the magic themselves, teach them the operations, show them, that's why I have these classes, is to help people. But I'm never going to, personally, I'm not going to do spells on you. Even if you pay me, I'm not going to do that. It's just not my thing. But if I'm blessing you, it's either going to, it may or may not affect you. It depends on you. I don't have a big investment on how things turn out for you that way, other than I really want the best for you. Okay, let me see if anything's come in on the stream and get you guys handled first. Oh, Ariel, I can't seem to escape spell backfire. Help. Okay, I don't know what you mean by backfire. That's not very specific. When you say backfire, are you talking about, are you cursing somebody and then you're getting the ramifications of it? Welcome to life. That's why with curses, I always go through the Psalms. I always go through the Psalms because they're not going to backfire on me. So if that's what you're talking about, maybe try a psalmic curse, because you're not actually imposing your will upon them without an intermediary. It takes away the backfire when you use a psalmic curse, because with the psalmic curse, you're not directly cursing them. You're pressing charges, and it's up to the infinite what goes from there. So it's a very powerful thing to do, and there's always blessing and benefit for you when you do that, but it's not going to backfire. Now, if you're saying that when you try to do something magically, but you get the opposite, that happens to a lot of people. And that's something that you want to, I have a lot of different videos and procedures about getting underneath the thought forms in your mind and to see what makes you tick. And you may have a thought that everything that I try to do comes back to me in the opposite way, or I don't deserve to have what I want. I only deserve to be punished, or something like that. You might have some of those sort of hidden beliefs that you don't deserve to have what you want, or that you only deserve the worst in life, not the best, those kinds of things. And so you may want to do one of those processes. There's one process, I wish I could remember what it was called. Let me see if I can find it for you. It's called, A Process to Solve a Problem. That's the name of the video. You may want to listen to that and run that process and see if what you're talking about is just that your regular spells come back to you negatively rather than positively. You may want to run that process on it, on your magic, and see if you don't have some thought forms that need to be eliminated, that need to be cleansed, because that does happen to people. Okay. Ariel, is there a set procedure for invoking two planetary or angelic energies for the same spell in terms of the differing correspondences, or is that generally considered ineffective? You mean you want to call on two angels to do the same thing? I would personally just work with the one. I don't usually work with two at a time. I would personally work with one and know that if they need help, they'll get it. They'll call upon the other angel if they need help. The thing about angel magic is that it always works, and you always get a response. You always get a result. It's just that sometimes you don't get it exactly what you thought you wanted, because it's not sorcery. You're not saying it must be this, it must be this. You're bringing a problem or a situation or a desire to the angels, and you're asking that this angel that you're calling on help you, and they always will help you, and you always do get a response. It's just that sometimes we have to recognize that the response may not be exactly what we thought we needed, but it's always perfect. It is always perfect, and it always does clean up the situation and resolve the situation. And so many times I see people doing angel magic, and they'll do it, and then they'll say, okay, now what do I have to do this thing? It's not just angel magic, it's any magic. Okay, I've done this spell. It obviously didn't work. And then now what should I do? Now what should I do? What should I do? And if you've done a spell, you have to give it time to work. You have to let it work. You can't plant a seed, and if you don't see immediate results from that seed sprouting, just assume that it didn't work, and then you have to plant a different seed. You want to, because what happens when we do that is our faith tends to get broken, and we don't think that our magic works. You have to have that faith that it is working, and it may take some time in the physical world to manifest, right? So if that's why you're calling on two, I don't know why you're calling on two. Maybe there's that. I'm not sure if that's what it is. But either way, I personally don't work with two angels at once. It's not that you can't. It's just not part of the angelic system as I learned it. It's usually just one at a time. When I cast good spells for me, I get the negative. Okay, I think we just talked about that. So you may want to work with that process or something similar. It's called A Process to Solve a Problem. It's a Witchy Tips video. You can just look it up on YouTube and run that process and see if you can't figure out what the thought forms are that are causing that to happen, because that's something within you. That's something within you that's kind of thwarting it, because you probably have a belief that you can't get what you want, or that you don't deserve what you want, or you deserve to have the opposite, something like that. And so we want to go right for those thoughts that are holding you back and let those go, and then cast your spell. It does happen to people, and I feel so bad when that happens, but it is something that is always fixable. It's always fixable. Let's see. There was one more question in here. Oh, any advice on getting over the fear of astral projection? I've gotten halfway there, and it keeps happening by accident. You may be putting too much pressure on yourself to have a perceived idea of what astral projection feels like. Let it feel just good. Let it just feel like imagination at first and fantasy. Let it just feel subtle at first. And pretty soon you'll realize, oh, I am out of my body. It's not that weird. It's not that different. I am out of my body. And then you can have more control over what you do once you're out of your body. But I think a lot of times we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we hear things about what it's supposed to feel like or what it's supposed to be like. And we are expecting some major dramatic result to happen. And either it doesn't happen and we think we didn't get it, or we're afraid it's going to happen, so we never get it. Instead, just let the astral projection just feel more like daydreaming, just real light and easy, nothing major. Just real gentle. That's what I would recommend. See if we have any more questions that just came in. We don't. All right. Well, hopefully those little Q&As were helpful for you. And I hope I got everybody's question answered that I missed before. And I hope they hear it. I'm not sure if this will get uploaded as an edited version of a video or not. It may not be that interesting to people. I'm not sure. All right. Well, thank you so very, very... Oh, there is one more. Hang on. There's one more. Oh, did I just lose it? I think I lost it. Sorry. Well, if you've never gotten your question answered by me, and I didn't answer it today, go on Discord or go on Facebook and put it in there, and I will do my best to answer it there. Okay? Thank you so very much for being here today, and thank you so much to the amazing moderators, Heather and Honeypaw, and we will see everybody for Witchy Wednesday this coming Wednesday. Until next time, blessed be.